Hello and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is April 15th. And this is episode 59 or 58. It's almost 60. What's up? How are you? I'm doing good. How are you? Are you so excited? It's almost spring. Or it is spring. It's springy here. I'm sorry, people in the they got all that snow. I'm really sorry, but we didn't get it. Yay. So it's totally springy here. I'll go right into shenanigans because they are spring related. Okay. Oh well, no, I won't. It's a lie. Sorry, you can totally. I'm not sure what gets edited off when I. So confusing, the reverse left right. Like, I don't know why my brain's like, but it doesn't do well. I'm sorry, you can totally see not only my bad, like, splatter painted chair, oops, but also, like, my bin of fabric. Sorry. Just realized it's there. That's because I sew for a living now. What's up? Thanks, guys. So sorry, that's totally there. Not moving it. There's no place else for it to go. This is like the whole sewing corner, which you cannot see here. I know some of you have craft rooms of sewing corner, which is not even like a cozy nook with like a special. It's like bins of fabric and sewing machines. I'm so good. That was crazy. But that wasn't what I meant to talk about. Okay. Let me say thank you, Stella, for everybody. Some of you are totally going to play the Orange Cow. I'm so excited. We're totally doing an Orange Cow in May and June. You can play. You're going to play. Famous podcasters are playing. Like Diana Nittables. What's up? All of you are playing. Not all of you, but a lot of you. Come on, play. I'm so excited. Orange Cow. So, that's exciting. But I meant to say thank you just in general. I'm already off topic. Okay. But I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate all of your comments on the boards and your participation in the group. Not even kidding, I totally appreciate it. I want to say a special thank you to you. Yay. Thank you for any of you who have left iTunes reviews. Thank you. Whether they be starred or written, they are much appreciated. Thank you for contacting me this week. I'm going to say in advance, thank you for saying hi to me at the Viper event in Greencastle, Indiana on Saturday. On April 20th. Hi in advance. Totally say hi. I have buttons. Okay. They have our logo on them. Really? That's just a ploy for me to make you say hi. Okay. So, shenanigans now. Shenanigans. It's spring. It's so exciting. On Sunday, my daughter and I decided that we would go in the morning to Indianapolis. We have our Indianapolis Museum of Art, which actually, by the way, is quite impressive for a city of our size. I'm always impressed when I go there. It's not the Met. But for Indianapolis, it's totally rockily nice museum, which has a great African art collection and surprisingly good Asian art collection. What's up with that? Anyway, our museum is really nice. If you come visit the city, stop in. It's free. It's $5 to park, unless you're sneaky like me and other people. But you can also, if you're cheap, and you have a daughter who loves the 100 Acres Sculpture Art Museum. I don't think that's what it's called. I think it's just called 100 Acres. But we have like it's the property that's adjacent to the Indianapolis Museum. I don't know why I keep saying international. It's an I. They're called the IMA, so I always would default international for that one. But adjacent to our museum grounds, which also has a big garden, botanicalness, there is it's called 100 Acres, and it's a sculpture park. Right? How fancy are we? Indianapolis is big. We're so fancy. Okay. So, you can totally park at the sculpture park and then go to the museum and not have to pay for parking. Of course, you have to walk up a giant hill with steps, but whatever. Cheapest for $5. Also, we went at like 9 a.m., so the museum's not open yet. Okay. So anyway, we go to the sculpture park, and it's awesome, by the way, if you have children especially. I mean, it's cool if you're a grown-up, but you could just be knitting. Let's face it. I'm the worst, aren't I? It's true. But if you have a kid, especially, it's awesome. Because it's all the art that you get to climb on. I never got to climb on art when I was a kid. Kids these days are fancy. Pfft. You get to climb on all the art. And now, so we have like lots of different things. But the newer thing this year is, last year they had this giant tree. I know that's helpful for you, right? But it was this giant tree that the bark had been removed from, and it was like on its side, but its branches were intact. It's a big tulip tree, I believe. I think that's right. And it was like on like these big metal crossbar pieces, and it was like resting in there. And I was like, okay. It wasn't so that anybody could climb on it or anything, because that was my initial thing when I saw it from afar. I was like, oh, is it like a natural jungle gym? But it was not made for that. It was too high up. So I was like, okay. Because some of, I'll be honest, some of the modern sculpture art, I'm like, okay, kids. Like there's a big boat out in the lake, like a warship almost, not that big, but of that ilk, I'm like, okay, I guess that's cool, I'm not very fancy. But, so I was just kind of like, okay. But now, they have furthered it, and it has swings on it. How cool is that? And they have it's all, it's one tree, and basically what the architects, and I forget their name, I think they're Swedish or something. They're like Scandinavian, They're very fancy. They've done lots of fancy things. I read about them, and they've done a lot of really fancy stuff, and then they did this thing in Indianapolis. I'm like, what is up with that? Who knows? But anyway, we have Eli Lilly here. That's all there's to it. So they harvest this tree, and then their process was to use as much of the tree as possible. They actually likened it to like an old-time butcher where you had to harvest the carcass of the animal to create the least amount of waste and the best overall finished product when you were done. So that was their appearance. So there's this tree. It's got like these, the swings are all bits of it. The bark that was removed was actually applied to shingles because it's going to be like a concession stand. It's kind of weird, but whatever. So, but the bark was all used for the concession stand shingles, which is beautiful, by the way. And it's like inset into the tree. It's totally rocking. And then there's there's the swings that are and I can swing on them. They're super heavy duty, which is awesome. Except there's only 4 of them. But we were there at 9:30 in the morning, so nobody else was there. It was cool. I love early morning stuff. It's so exciting. I'm really not really super a morning person, but I love to go places when there's nobody there yet. It's awesome. So there's swings, and there's a big bench swing that you just chill on, and then all of the there's tables because now it's a concession area or a picnic area, and there's tables, and there's only 4 or 5, but there are tables that are actually made from cross sections of the wood, and then the stumps and stuff. Anyway, it was really cool. Plus, it's springtime, so the birds were going bonkers, which was so exciting. And because there's a lake there, I guess, too, there's even more variety than we get around, in our very urban area that we live in. So there was all kinds of crazy birds. They were singing. There was downy woodpeckers and then all the other. But we were very excited. And then we walked around and did all that. And there were lots of people walking their dogs. And they were, I love wire-haired Dachshunds. Oh my God, they're so cute. They're wiener dogs, but they are wiry like terriers. So we walked up the giant hill across the Monon. No, it's not the Monon there. It's not considered the Monon, I don't think. Whatever. There's a big bike path. So we walked up the hill and across the bike path and then up the steep hill to the garden. It's not a big hill at all, but the steps are a 70-degree angle. I'm probably way overestimating that, but when you're standing at the bottom of them, that's what it feels like. Okay. And you're me. So go to the stand, and we walked around the gardens, and then my kid was like, I want to go to the museum. And I'm like, really? She's like, I don't want to go to the museum. I'm like, do you want to go to the museum or you just want to ride the escalators? Because our museum has excellent escalators. It has 3 really steep escalators, which she loves. And when we go to the mall, for example, that's always the bargaining chip, is that, if you do X, then you get to ride on the escalator at Dick's Sporting Goods. We don't ever buy anything there. We just ride the escalators. free. Entertainment is okay as long as it's free. So, oh, what the, I just said, that didn't even make any sense. Sorry. So, you just want to ride the escalators. Because by this time, I gotta be even honest with you, I'm getting a little bit like pooped, you know? We've been walking like for 2 hours at that point, which is not that much. By the way, when I wasn't walking, I got to sit on the Funny Bones sculpture, which was amazingly comfortable, and knit for like at least 20 minutes while she played. It was so exciting. I was like, look at me. I'm sitting on modern art knitting while my kid's jumping around on it. How fun is that? This was the name of my gratitude cal. It was perfect timing. But anyway, so she wanted to go to the museum, and we did. And there's an outdoor part, which is like big numbers that she loves to play on. And I think that was just that and the escalator. That's really all she was interested in. But whatever, it's something, right? Right. So those were the shenanigans. My hair's a hot mess, sorry. I guess I should talk about knitting. Do you see that I'm wearing a finished object? What up? It's my water course. And I already forgot who did it. Dang it, I am so bad at this, and her name is not immediately visible on the front of the pattern. So I'm sorry, it'll be just a moment while I look at my spoofy screen. Because it takes a while to okay, here we go. That's very tiny to print. Karina Spencer. This is the water course. Again, it's focusing. I don't know what is about this specific PDF. I think it's just a lot of data because it's all fancy style. So that's her version. Super cute, right? I clearly decided to make mine bright orange because I'm marginally not mentally well. You know what? I know it. It's okay. I did mine with Peace Fleece in the marigold colorway. Is that right? Did I just make that up? It is totally all done. I tried to do like a little thing where I stood up in front of the camera before I turned on the start, but quite frankly, it just doesn't work for me. I would really prefer to be able to let you see the whole sweater because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's gonna be like a year before I get a picture of it. I'm gonna try not to make it that long, but I'm a fail at pictures because obviously it's impossible to take a sweater picture of yourself unless I have a timer, but oh, let's just face it, that's not happening. But so you have to find another human who's going to take a picture of you, and then you have to be in a place with a sweater on that picture makes sense. And let me be honest with you, my backyard, it's super sketchy looking right now. We have like no grass. I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. We're us. But we have like no grass, and like my garden boxes are full of weeds, and I don't trust my husband to take the picture that's not only like mildly flattering, but also does not include like some crud in the background, like a sewing bin or a hobo. Before anybody gets sassy with me, I'm not like dissing the disenfranchised of the 30s or whatever. Hobo is a fun word. Hush. So mine is with Peace Fleece. It's considered an Aran on Ravelry, but it's worstedy Aran. You know how that is. There's a minimal difference, really, quite frankly. But I totally dig it. Her version has the clasp, I guess, slightly above the widest part of your bust. I don't know. I just said I wasn't going to do this. Whatever. I put mine slightly. See, mine needs to even go a little bit lower. I'm like squatting. This is such an attractive position. Hello, boobs. I just put mine on in the dark yesterday. I don't know what I was thinking. But mine, I think, really, it might need to go like a half an inch shorter. I was just afraid. Here's the top of the pocket. Really, that's probably where I should have put it because then it would be even sturdier there. Okay, I'm going to move that down. Okay. But so here's the pockets. Here. I can't... Pockets. I can't stand on my tomatoes that far. But there they are. Okay, there's my back up. Okay. So anyways, I'll break out. Oh, and I did short sleeves. Well, not short sleeves, but, elbow length sleeves. Was that crazy? I'm so sorry. But I know a lot of you actually want to see the object, and it's just hard to do. And I know that's like totally true. So anyway, I did my best. I'm sorry if it wasn't good enough. But that's all I can do. And I will try my best to get a picture of it before it's so sweaty hot that the thought of this touching me makes me want to cry. Also, I'm really not sure how to style this. You see I have like a gray top on. Really want a long sleeve, super narrow striped t-shirt to wear underneath of it. I think it would be so cute, but I don't have one. So that's that. Modifications. I did make mine shorter. It's hard to tell here because it's on a mannequin and not a person, but it's pretty long. I mean, maybe it just looks a lot longer because that mannequin is much more narrow than I am, so proportionately it looks longer. I don't know, whatever. But I think that's all I did. Mine has a hood. It has a butt dart. Overall, I'm actually quite pleased. Oh, I was really worried about the whole I-cord thing. I think it did fine, and I think it's ultimately going to be a good thing because it will help it hold its shape over the longer term. Let's see, what else do I need to say? Oh, overall, I'm actually quite pleased with it. I mean, this color, not slimming, but overall, I think it's actually quite cute. I was really afraid that I was going to be like kicking myself. I think I'm totally going to wear it a lot because it's really cute. I mean, it's not a black ribbed sweater that's super like, but for an orange sweater, it's so flattering. So yay! It's super cute. What else should I talk about? I have another fish topic too. I don't mind. I finished my drizzle by melt. Now it's not blocked all the way because I see how that you can't hardly tell as much on the video, but you can see how it's a little bit. So I need to block that out. And the top, which is super cute, is not visible as well. Look how cute that is. So that needs to be blocked out. But I didn't do it yet, so. As you recall, perhaps, unless you're new. If you're new, hi. If you recall, if you're not new, I definitely need to move this clasp down. This is knit with Socks That Rock, lightweight, Sky Pumpkins colorway, held double. Now, Mel's pattern is actually written for sport or DK. So this gauge is not ideal. And let me also discuss, if you're going to knit this pattern, I would not recommend doing it with yarn held double because it's actually fine. But when you get to the top decreases, it's okay to say this. There are some knit 4 togethers, which when you're holding the yarn double is like knitting 8 together, which is a righteous pain. Now that's not Mel's fault. That's just like, it's not supposed to be held double. It was my dumb idea. But I didn't have any yarn I wanted to use for it except for this. So shush. It's totally cute, right? It's totally cute. I was kind of afraid it's way too giant because, again, I used a yarn bigger than I was supposed to. But I think I will knit it again out of a lighter weight yarn, but I think it's totally cute. Right? I look like such a cute girl. I'm so cute. Shut up. You're like, oh my God, you're not. But whatever. Shush. I like it. Now this is and I think also because mine is held double, it doesn't want to roll. When do you ever have something that you're like, I want it to roll more? That never happens. I'm like, I want it to roll more. But it rolls more in the back, so it like sticks up and it's very cute. See, now I'm gonna need my wool dreads, and then it'd be super cute. But okay. But while I'm sitting here in my orange sweater, I just wanted to confess. I totally bought orange yarn and I'm gonna knit a sweater with the cow. I'm not even kidding you. I totally bought it at Sweaters for this Quince and Company because I'm problem with that right now. I bought a sweater's worth of Quince and Company in fingering in the nasturtium colorway to make a sweater. I'm not even kidding you. I did. I'm gonna make a crop short sleeve sweater because clearly I need to wear that to SSK. Even though it's gonna be 9,000 degrees, right? I'm gonna knit it at a super loose gauge. It's gonna be fine, right? Nod. Okay, thanks. Okay, now for works in progress. I'll show you my Kira. It's by Cecily Glauc McDonald. Yes, I think it is. I hope I'm not lying right now, but I don't think I am. Whoa. This is a hot mess to show because it's like one piece. Okay. Okay. So here's the back. Yeah. Here's the half of one sleeve. And then here is the entirety of another sleeve, and then part of a front. Now, I know some of you are probably looking at this like I'm looking at it every time I look at it, thinking, oh my gosh, does she know that sweater is 3 sizes too small? It's giving me palpitations, but this lace pattern is so stretchy. Like, look. And I want to block it out more like a shawl, because for one thing, I want it to be a warmer weather sweater. It's like a 3/4 sleeve. I want it to be warmer weather, so I think the more I block it out, obviously the lighter weight it's going to be. And so even though that looks like that's a front, and also there's like this much ribbing on the front, so it's actually fine. It looks so tiny every time I'm like, oh. But so the only difference, oh, I'm in the middle of a row. How nice of me. The only different thing I'm doing is, well, my row gauge is off, so I'm not knitting in nearly as many pattern repeats as the pattern suggests. And also, I don't want mine as long as the one. I almost kind of want mine just to hit at waist level, which I know is crazy. But again, with my thinking that it might be a summery, like a lighter weight sweater, my thought is that I would like to wear it with like dresses. Or my uniform of black tank top and black capri pants. Whatever. Which I wear super tight, so it would be cute if I had a sweater over it, in my mind. The only thing I did different is that for the bust, I did increase a little bit. And I increased, the pattern has like a section where there's like a knit 2. So I just increased that to a knit 3, and I just did it gradually. Like I just increased one pattern repeat, then did a few rows, and then increased the next pattern repeat. And really, you can't, I mean, you might be able to tell more when it's blocked, but like it's rather difficult to tell that I have done that. I was very afraid that it would be super obvious, but it's really not. It's actually quite, it's camouflagey style. Okay. You can tell. I mean, you can see that it's a little bit, see the stockinette band is a little bit narrower there than it is as it gets up higher. But I don't think anybody who's not a knitter would notice that, especially since it might help to not make it so obvious that my boobs are like boobs, you know. Just like. So I hope that works out well. Nervous, very nervous about it, but hopefully it'll be okay. It's got like tentacles and stuff. It's out of control. Okay. Excuse me. The next thing I show you, it's in my project bag from Joanna of Knitspin Farm. Oh my gosh, I love her face. We're going carpooling with Rice and Maria and Libby Ball to the Knitting Bible retreat next weekend. I'm so excited. Not next weekend, I'm sorry. Weekend after next weekend. It's my first ever knitting retreat. I'm bending. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is my Gills Rock, which is, of course, is by the beautiful Paula Emmons Feasley of Knitting Pipeline fame and designing fame. And this is knit with, why can I never remember this? Quince & Company Finch, because Lark is worsted. I always want to say Lark, but it's Finch, which is just 100% wool fingering weight, which is, so it's a combination of the Orange Cow and the want, desire to knit summery kind of sweaters. And this project is, I think I'm more of a border process to product knitter. I can't tell which one I am, but this process is wonderful. Part of it's wonderful because I'm doing the gratitude count, so I'm trying to be more mindful. But I'm knitting, and I don't usually talk about needles, but I really like these. These are the Chow Goos, and these are the US 4s. This needle and this yarn and this nice, just simple pattern. Like there's it's not just stockinette, but there's something going on. I don't know. I love it. It's so enjoyable. It's like all the great things that knitting should be. So yeah, I'm totally knitting a sweater. I'm like, I must use these needles. So my gauge is about what Paula's is supposed to be. So I think if I knit a sweater and it's that open, and the amazing difference between the woolen and the worsted spun yarn, it's like a totally different I mean, you would not, if you were from another planet and you came and visited us, you would not think that this and this fiber were from a similar animal. not saying that they're exact same breed, but you know what I mean? Like, you would not immediately make that connection, I don't think, unless they had special scanner faces. I'm not just, whatever, I don't know what they are. They're aliens. So, it's just so different. It's amazing. It's opened up a new world in terms of, like, I've always been like, I cannot knit a lot of worsted weight sweaters. But the difference between the woolen spun and the worsted spun is that the woolen spun is like 7 times warmer. It's not an exaggeration. Okay, maybe 7 times is an exaggeration. It's an amazingly different amount of warmth from woolen spun versus worsted spun. Somebody asked me this question the other day. She was talking about sock knitting and how her feet are always cold even though she wears knitted socks. And she was curious if it was the superwash. And it might be a little bit due to the superwash, because what they do when they make superwash is that they remove some of the, well, I guess they remove all of the scales. Like, you know how when you watch the Pantene commercial and they show your hair and it has the scales? Well, that's what sheep hair looks like too. So their process is not using Pantene, but using lye, actually. At least that's what they did traditionally. Which makes me also, parenthetical, sorry. This is my other running theory. Do you wonder this? Okay, so I'm always like, how did people make their sweaters in the olden times when they had to like wash stuff against a washboard? Right? That felt things. So were they all wearing felted sweaters? But you see sweaters in historical documents that are not felted, right? So, like, I'm just kind of wondering if a submersion in lye solution makes a yarn superwash, does washing it in lye soap make it superwash? Or like a little bit, maybe? What do you think? Does anybody know that? Tell me if you know. Tell us all if you know. You're all like, we don't care. Shush. You care. You care now. Anyway. Okay, that was okay, now we're back to so she was asking me if it was super. So the removal of the scales might decrease the insulative properties a little bit. But I don't know. But man, woolen spun versus worsted spun, crazy different. Woolen spun adds air. Worsted spun takes it away. The combination, and also there's usually different fibers involved because woolen spun is more suited to different fibers than worsted spun. Like longer fibers are happier when you do the woolen spun versus the shorter merinos and stuff when you do worsted spun. I mean, woolen. Oh, did I just mess you up? I'm sorry. Woolen spun long fibers, worsted spun short fibers. Beavers, whatever. Ages 8 to 13 demographic. So that's the big difference, though. That's like a huge difference. So again, all of my life I've been knitting all of these woolen spun sweaters, and now I've knit a few that are worsted spun, like my DK Twigs and Willows. And then this, well, this is not a sweater, but this other one, the Cara, it's amazingly different. I think I could totally wear a fingering weight sweater that was at a very open gauge, even though it's wool. In summer, I could totally see it. I mean, they always say that there's summer wool, but I feel it maybe. Don't hold me to it. Really? How do you all still watch the show? I love your faces. Okay. So that's what I'm doing for the gratitude cal, which, by the way, is ending soon. Shush, you got 2 weeks. Get those projects in. Some of you already have. But I feel like there was something else I was supposed to mention about the gratitude cal. Oh, that's what I was supposed to mention. By the way, there are prizes coming in. There's going to be some soap prizes. And also, the beautiful Venusian... Now I can't say it. Venusian Beauty has donated a coupon code for $6 off a pattern from Lethal Knits. And by the way, do you know who that is? If you don't, you should really look it up. It's Lee Meredith, and she is so cute. She totally, I'm sure, has orange sweaters. But anyway, so these are some of her designs. I totally want to knit that hat. It's a little bit more like modern than my aesthetic usually is, but there's something about it that I really dig. And this new shawl on the other side, that new shawl, that's garter stitching like all like short rowy and stuff. It's super cute. So she has lots and lots of really great patterns, and I've almost knit some of her stuff like 75 times. But I just love her because she has very orange glasses. I know, how vain am I, right? But how can you not like to look at her? She's got orange glasses and crazy bright red hair. I mean, crazy in a good way, right? You know that, right? But how cute is she? So yay, thanks, Venusian Beauty. Okay, so the rest of the show will be, okay, it's already 30 minutes. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to answer one question, and then I'm going to show shameless self-promotion. Okay. So there was a question actually happened twice. So I feel like that means I need to answer it in the same week. Somebody asked me why I call the show The Fat Squirrel Speaks. So if you don't care about that, I'll see you next week. And the other thing is shameless self-promotion. Why do I call the podcast The Fat Squirrel Speaks? Okay. So when I started I can't say this. When I started the podcast, one thing I wanted as part of the title was a thing that was easily logoitized, meaning I didn't want anything so abstract that I wouldn't know what image to put with it. Does that make sense? So squirrel made a lot of sense, or something that had an immediate image, a connotative image that came up with it, right? So that was part of it. Another thing was I'm fat. I don't know if you've noticed. I may have mentioned it once or twice, or 8,000 times. And look at that. I just did it in time. And look at that. Total crazy buck teeth, right? So, which by the way, I never knew I even have until my husband was like, nobody teased you about those teeth? I'm like, what? No, I was fat. They had other fodder. Hush. He didn't do it in a mean way, by the way. So, it seemed like a perfect idea to put fat out there because I didn't want anybody to write me a letter that was like, I don't know if you have noticed that you have a slight weight problem and there's lots of things you can do to make yourself healthier. I didn't want that letter. So I just put out there that I was fat and that I was aware of it and that I had squirrely teeth. And then ultimately also, dude, fat animals are awesome. I know, we don't like fat people. People are like, she's fat. But nobody's like, oh my God, that squirrel is so fat. It totally needs to go on Nutrisystem. Is that even still a thing? I just thought about that. I don't even know if that's a thing still. But you're just like, oh my God, look at that fat squirrel. Survival is the fittest squirrel. Go for it. Just, so that's lots of randomness. Whatever. Apocalypse. I'm set, yo. I can knit and I'm fat. What up? You're coming to my house, right? Okay. So that's why it's called That Girl Speaks. Last thing, shameless self-promotion. There's going to be a shop update this week on Friday, which is the 19th. And it will be the mid-month update, which is just bags. I shouldn't say just bags. It's all bags all the time. And then there will be another update the Friday after I get back from the Pipeliner retreat, which I'm sorry, it's the first Friday in May. And it will have yarn and bags. Let me say briefly, if you're going to the Pipeliner retreat and you're still listening, that should be one of you. No, it'll be more than that. I was just trying to think about the subset and Venn diagram. It's very confusing. But if you're going there, I really debated about whether I should do an exclusive bag and yarn set for that retreat. But I've never been to a retreat, and I've certainly never vended at a retreat or seen anybody else vend at a retreat. So I had no idea what I should bring. So basically what I'm setting it up as is you will have a preview of the May bag and yarn update. I mean, preview in that you can actually purchase it. Like, it will all be there for you to purchase. And then you'll get a special tag for your bag, which is, I have in the works. It'll be like a little wooden plaque of sorts that will be only on your bags. So your bag itself will not be exclusive, but you'll be the only ones who can get the special tag. Is that enough? I'm sorry. But I just wasn't sure what to do. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, but the bag has birds on it. I think you might like it. I know I do. So anyway. So, I'm visiting at the Pipeliner retreat, and you will, yes. Is that enough what I said? I said that. Okay. So now for this week's update on Friday, and it will happen again at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That just works for me. I'm sorry. That's okay. Which should I show you first? Okay. So here's one of the fabrics. And by the way, I'm sorry, the handles I don't have done yet. So there will be handles, and there'll be the normal wristlet handles that with the buckle that you've seen before, hopefully. But I don't have them done yet, so I'm sorry. So this is the first bag, and this is a little girl. Oh, I forgot. I totally have stuff to show you too, which I forgot. I bought. Oh, crud. Well, maybe I'll do that next week because I don't want to short her in case anybody disappeared. It's really cool. I'll show you a sneak preview. What? Very pretty. Okay, I'll just show you what it is in case now you're like, what? I have to wait till next week. If you're still here. Query fiber. I asked her how to say that, and she very kindly was like, hey, dummy, why don't you just look it up on Free Dictionary? She didn't say that at all. She was very kind, but I'm sure that's what she was thinking in the back of her mind. Yay. This is like an antiquated spelling of query. And now that I'm saying that, I'm instantly afraid that I've forgotten. Whatever, that's what I'm going with. I'll correct myself next week if I have to. She was very cute and very nice. So this little project bag totally still holds 3 skeins. And it'll have the little wristlet dude on it. Right? That's really cute, right? Would you like to see the lining? Maybe you would like to see the lining. So I won't do these little tiny bags for the big bag updates because that fabric is much more. But there's the inside. And a hot pink zipper. I was so excited about the zippers, by the way. Yay! So that's that one. And then in the same fabric, I have a few drawstring bags. And by the way, these are also not ironed. I know I'm the worst person ever, right? Drawstring bag. Also lined with that square bottle. And it has fabric ties. Now, I know that the cord ties are much more popular right now. And there's multiple reasons for that. For one thing, it's much more cost effective as a producer. Much more cost effective. What's that word? Productive. Wow. Than to make these little dudes, which are A, pain in the neck, and B, take a surprising amount of fabric, right? But I like them better. Of all of my project bags, these are all my ones with the actual fabric-y ties, like Joanna Springs. These are always my favorite. So I won't do a lot of drawstring bags, but I know some of you really don't like a zipper. So I'll do them every once in a while, every great once in a while. Because that's just fun to do that. So this one is, of course, bigger. And it would hold, I don't know, 5 maybe skeins. There's 3 skeins in it, and it's like, I still got that much left. So there's that one. It would be good for, you know, any kind of like two skein project at least, or a larger shawl. And then lastly, another design you've seen before is the sweater size. And again, these will have, so this is the other fabric, which I've not seen yet. This is the other fabric, and this is the sweater size. And it has that as lighting. And these will probably have contrast handles. They most definitely will have. These will have this handle. But I have these in this other, you know, I have the sweater bag in an orange, and then, you know what I mean. It's two. So there's that one. These will be slightly less expensive than the standard monthly bags that go with the yarn, because I wasn't sure. They're 2 layers of the twill, so it's still designer level, or designer fabric, interior fabric twill, like you would make like a curtain with. But they don't exactly stand up on their own. So they maybe should have been interfaced, but I'll be honest with you, I just don't like interfacing. I said it. It makes everything look like it's worth a lot more money, but I just don't like it very much. So I just went with my gut, my heart, and did not put interfacing in them. So I'm charging a little bit less for them. So that update will happen Friday, May 19th, or April 19th, sorry. And as always, top stitching, fully lined, no seams. What else do I need to tell you? Oh, these will be, well, these are only single stitch because I didn't think about it, but the blue ones will be double stitched. They're already done. This has lots of top stitching on it. I think that's all. Oh my gosh, I'm almost at 40 minutes. So anyway, if you're going to be at the fiber event, I'm going to be there on Saturday. I would imagine I'll be there. It starts at 9. I haven't talked to my person I'm going with yet. But I hope to be there by 10. But 11 at the latest. I don't know. She's not as much. She has a real job. Unlike me. I have a job now, but it's still not a real job. Because I get to do it in my pajamas. Yay, everybody. I love you. So anyway, I'll totally see you next time if I don't see you then. Bye.